talking about transformation of your companies, guys, I'm looking at Bloomberg. It's a newspaper, so I'm kind of curious to understand how the level of transformation that was required to move from that to video, and then have enough of a library that you can actually claim your own, even if, as you were saying, you're not as focused on a direct to consumer approach, but you have a brand, you have this space where you have that direct relationship. It goes through a Roku, a Samsung, whatever. But yeah, how did that happen? How much effort was it? Tough for you guys to make that change, get your voices heard, etc.
So the good news is Bloomberg Media has been very multi-platform for a long time. And those platforms, may have kind of shifted over time. Obviously, just digital transformation that has happened to the news industry as a whole. But Bloomberg TV itself has been around, probably close to 30 years at this point, and started as, a cable news network distributed. Michael knows this because he was working at Bloomberg, I think, on probably a lot of those early distribution deals. Distributing to a lot of the traditional MVPDs and operators kind of globally. So the good news is we had, a broadcast kind of operations team already in place to service video platforms. There's also, just talking about the multi-platform nature of Bloomberg as a whole, we have radio stations, we now have podcasts. We still do Business Week as print magazine. We obviously have our Bloomberg.com website and mobile app. So multi-platform's kind of always been in the DNA of Bloomberg. But as it relates, kind of to TV specifically, like I said, we had that broadcast operations piece in place. The transformation there was, how do we launch a kind of product built specifically for streaming, which is where Bloomberg TV Plus came in. It was built as kind of a 4K enabled product because we were trying to put, the most beautiful news cast on screen. There were enhanced kind of graphics and information and headlines in the J and U bar. So kind of blowing that out, knowing, how people kind of dip in and dip out in terms of having active versus passive engagement, where they're keeping, Bloomberg TV kind of on in the background, or, tuning in to watch a specific interview or segment. So made some enhancements to kind of what the product looked like on screen. I think the biggest change was really on the ad sales side. So, when I talk about multi-platform, a lot of the focus kind of historically was really on, okay, we sell a lot of linear TV advertising. We had sold a little bit of social video through a relationship with kind of Twitter back in the day around a couple of our brands. But still, it was kind of a primarily display advertising led business, like kind of most news publishers with a website and a mobile app. So it really required a lot of change in terms of just like training of the sales team and understanding how we were positioning all of this new streaming CTV video inventory that we were generating, and then what's the kind of go-to-market strategy for that? How are we packaging it up? How are we selling it? I think Michael had mentioned some of the things that you need to put into place around an ad tech stack, which, again, was primarily geared towards video on our website or some video on a, owned and operated platform. So there are a lot of new muscles there. But I think the good news, I feel very fortunate being at a place like Bloomberg, we had a lot of the kind of infrastructure already in place. And it was about building on top of that and how do we enhance some of that. So I feel like to a certain extent, we had maybe a little bit of a head start versus some of the other, news organizations out there. And the benefit of that is you build off of that. The not so easy thing is just you get general resistance because things were done in a certain way in the past, and you have to get, past some of those internal challenges. But we've been able to do that.